Hi there and welcome to Atoll TV's ISO 45001 playlist. I'm going to review the requirements of Clause 4.1, Understanding the Organisation and its Context. I'm going to break this tiny one-sentence clause down and turn it into something we can all understand. You'll then be able to apply this to your own organisation system and understand what the requirements will look like for you. No more confusion or guessing. Hi, I'm Jackie Stapleton and you're watching Atoll TV, the place to expand your career and learn from experts. I'm the Director of Auditor Training Online and I'm here to help you on your way to implementing or auditing against ISO 45001, the 2018 revision. While you're here, I'd love for you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on anything exciting in the future. To start off with, I'm going to ask you a question. What clause in ISO 45001 do you need support in unpacking and determining what it might look like applied to your own organisation? Or if you're an auditor, which clause causes the most uncertainty for you? Comment below as I'd love to help you. I do need you to stick around until the end so I can ask you an important question about the next clause in the standard. This will get you thinking, ready for the next video in this playlist. Right, let's get started. Clause 4.1, Understanding the Organisation and its Context, is probably the smallest clause in ISO 45001 and it's just one sentence, that's it. So it can't be that hard to understand, can it? Well, let's see. Clause 4.1 states that the organisation shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and that affect its ability to achieve the intended outcomes of its OH&S management system. I always say with this clause that it's about having a long, hard look at yourself. The requirements of this clause are about the organisation identifying internal and external factors that influence their activities, products or services. This is about an organisation assessing the risks and opportunities influencing or impacting their business and the delivery of their product or service. This is standard business planning and management, of course. So, the question for us is, what does this look like in a business? A tool or tools that I normally see being used to address this clause requirement are the Pest Analysis or in conjunction with a SWOT analysis. The Pest Analysis, sometimes referred to as Pestel or Pestle, is a great tool to identify external issues, and it works well then combined with a SWOT analysis. Pestel stands for political, economic, social, technological, environment, and legal. You can see by using these words as a prompt, it forces a business to look at what influences these categories bring to their business. I've only seen these used in conjunction with a SWOT analysis, and overall the SWOT seems to be the most used tool in businesses that I audit. I'll explain and demonstrate how a SWOT analysis will work and align with the requirements of this clause shortly. Before I continue though, I really need to ensure that it is clear that nowhere in clause 4.1 does it say you shall conduct a SWOT analysis. In fact, the clause doesn't even have a requirement for documented information to be maintained or retained as evidence, which can be a bit tricky for us as auditors. I want you to be really careful if you're an auditor, as there is no way that we can raise a non-conformance by saying that there was no documented evidence of the external and internal issues determined. How we obtain the evidence would then be by interview to see whether the organisation has in fact determined these internal and external issues and can demonstrate that they know what they are. Now, in saying this, it's very common that you will see something documented. Whether they do conduct a SWOT analysis of which you will see the completed output for, or they have a brainstorm at their management review meeting and it's documented in their minutes possibly. Normally you'll see a trace of it somewhere in the system. Okay, so on to this SWOT analysis then, shall we? SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. A SWOT is normally drawn up into 4 quadrants, with each quadrant name one of the options of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. This is a fantastic tool to use as it aligns really well with the internal and external requirements of clause 4.1. So now you can add to the rows the heading of internal for strengths and weaknesses and external for opportunities and threats. I always say that strengths and weaknesses are internal and what is actually happening now. And then opportunities and threats come from external influences and are what has the potential to occur. Now that we have the final template ready to go, we can use it to help us fill in each of the quadrants. It would be beneficial to involve staff members or team representatives in this process so that a broad scope can be identified across the business. Right, let's get started then. Let's start with the strengths. Remembering that these are internal strengths of our business that are actually occurring right now. Ask yourself the question, what does your business do well? To help you, I'll prompt you with some more questions. Okay, so do you lead the way in technology or innovation? Do you bring a lot of experience to the business or industry? Do you have a low incident rate? Do you have strong OH&S leadership and participation? Does your business actively identify hazards and risks and implement controls? Or finally, do you have a rigorous OH&S training and induction process? Now, you can move on to weaknesses. Again, remembering that these are internal weaknesses that are actually occurring right now. Ask yourself the question, what does your business not do well? To help out again, I'll prompt you with some other questions. Do you tend to follow others in the industry rather than lead? Does your business lack OH&S knowledge and experience? Are there regular incidents that occur that go unreported? Is OH&S leadership lacking? Does the business ignore proactive hazard identification? And finally, does the business lack an OH&S training and induction process? Fantastic. Now that's started giving you a list for the internal and actual factors for strengths and weaknesses. Keep working on these as you'll find that over time you'll pick up and recognize other areas to add. Something really important to note here is that you do not complete a SWOT analysis just once. It's an ongoing and regular process. It's your business's way of staying on top of any new threats to the business and identify opportunities for the business. Right, let's look at opportunities next. Opportunities are external factors that a business can leverage to achieve an objective, goal or target and simply just to improve. Ask yourself that question. What opportunities are there that we can take action on to improve? Hot tip here. Why don't you look at your list of weaknesses for an idea on where some opportunities might be? Some questions to prompt you here might be, could you improve OH&S knowledge within the business? And how? How could you reduce the occurrence of incidents? How could you support your workers to report incidents or near misses? How could you initiate proactive hazard identification? How could you initiate the implementation and review of risk treatments or controls? Is there an opportunity to provide OH&S training on a regular basis? Is there an opportunity to communicate OH&S requirements to workers? And finally, Could you involve your workers in the OH&S system and processes more? Now, the final quadrant for threats. Threats are external factors that could potentially cause difficulties for the company. Some examples for this might be changes or updates in OH&S legislation that are not identified, an OH&S breach and fine could occur, a major incident could occur. Transfer of OH&S knowledge could be compromised if a key staff member leaves. So, fantastic, look at that. You've completed your SWOT analysis. Now, if you review your SWOT, let's see if the output from each quadrant meets the requirements of clause 4.1. Let me repeat what this clause states. The organisation shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and that affect its ability to achieve the intended outcomes of its OH&S management system. Wow, light bulb moment right there. Doesn't that requirement make so much more sense now? And you know why? Because we've made sense of it ourselves and have broken it down and produced the output to meet those requirements. When you see it in your own context, everything makes sense. I love it when this happens. So thanks for sticking around to the end so I can ask you that all-important question about the next clause in ISO 45001. Clause 4.2. Understanding the needs and expectations of workers and other interested parties. Comment below if you know what the one unique difference is in ISO 45001 as compared to other ISO standards for this particular clause. So that's clause 4.2, the next video. If you're going to find anything that is different in ISO 45001, it will always be this. If you're not sure, stick around for the next video in the playlist and I'll share this with you then. Thanks for playing along. Auditor Training Online is a recognised training provider, so we're confident that you need to enrol with us now. Go to our website and enrol to transform your work and industry experience into a recognised qualification. And don't forget to subscribe to Atoll TV and leave a comment or question, as I want to help you to join the best career out there with me, auditing. Happy auditing, guys.